He's always just there.
Active red flag, defending.
I think it's like.
Am I live? Are we live? What we saying, man? People, deluded. I'm back again. I hope everyone's doing well and safe. I'm here with Big Mo, man. What are you telling them?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
As good as I can be with the transfer market, but I'm sure I'm gonna pick your brains as much as I can, man. We were just talking how, remember I was an hour early to the live stream, and I said if only AUBAMEYANG was like that, man, we'd be off to a great start this season, man.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and I'm sure you've seen that the AUBAMEYANG versus ARTETA little tidbits of information are starting to come out now a little bit, and I think it's probably what a lot of Arsenal fans, in a way, were curious about. Maybe not what they wanted.
We're messy. We're very messy. We want to see all of it, man.
But yeah, I mean, there is that curiosity because it's funny. Like when AUBAMEYANG left, when it all got confirmed, I saw tweets saying like, AUBAMEYANG comes back late after visiting his unwell mother, and this is what happens. And it's like you look at that, and you're obviously trying to change the narrative and trivialize it to make it look like Arteta's really over the top, and then AUBAMEYANG's now saying, "Oh, Arteta was one with the problem and stuff," making it like, again, Arteta's the one with the problem. Then I've seen other people saying like the Dortmund chief executive.
I've seen them retweets,
and there's different people now, depending on which side of the fence you sit on, pointing the blame on Arteta and AUBAMEYANG, just trying to like twist that narrative a little bit. I think the reality is, Arteta has got a very unattractive record in terms of maintaining good relationships with players. And we've seen that in his very, very early career at Arsenal. It's the only example to go on. It's fallen out with numerous players. And we've also seen that with AUBAMEYANG. There's always been those talks and those criticisms of his lack of discipline, lack of timekeeping, lack of professionalism at certain points. Not throughout his career,
Facts.
but almost at a point where he starts to get bored or something, where he just changes.
Something just happens, yeah.
Something just happens, yeah. So I think the reality is they're probably both a little bit guilty of certain things. Thanks. And not being able to repair. It's very easy to destroy relationships, very easy to break things, but to repair them, that's where you need like a bit of humility, swallow a bit of pride and ego, and submit an olive branch to someone. That's the really difficult thing that requires a lot of intelligence and humility. And perhaps these two gentlemen lack it.
I mean, it's like you said there. I think they've made their camps. They said it's my way or the highway. Obviously, Arteta's ultimately won. He comes out of it. I would say, I don't feel anyone can be praised or critiqued. As you just said, the truth's in the middle. AUBAMEYANG's got his things to say. Arteta's got his things to say. It's in the middle. And I feel, depending on what Arsenal fan you speak of, somehow he's come out of it and, it looks like he's beating his chest. He's won a very diplomatic game. He saved wages. To others, it's not that they disagree with that. And, big up to him for saving the wages. We haven't got another striker. We're relying on two strikers who have two goals from open play between them. As you said about mending relationships, a key part of any workplace. I'm sure some of you are managers or whatever, or delegations in teams. You don't have to like your colleagues, but you have to be able to be on tune with them. And you made a good point about relations. If we get to a standard where Arsenal, for me, are, Champions League, everything that we want, typically these good players, they've got, if it's not necessarily an attitude problem, they were a bit mavericky and things like that. So I'm keen to see how Arteta manages it. And for me as well, bro, this is kind of made easy with AUBAMEYANG's form. Just like with Ozil, people are kind of happy. It's very different when it's your 20 league goal man, we're 2 points off fourth and things like that. So yeah, man, I meant to ask you, what do you make of the way AUBAMEYANG's left? Because again, it's nothing to do with him. It feels a bit cowardly, a bit backdoorish, a bit almost trying to not erase his memory at Arsenal, but it's like he's any other player. Respectfully, it's like Pablo Mari, really. It's like he's never created anything here, really.
Yeah, and when you think about, I think people often they live in the present so much that they forget just how good someone was.
Facts.
It certainly happened with Mesut Ozil. People forgot just how incredible he was to watch on his day at Arsenal and how well he did for us. It's not a surprise. We went on a massive trophy drought. Ozil came, trophies followed. It's just the way it was. But people there's a lot of revisionism.
Twist the narratives, 100%.
Yeah, and with AUBAMEYANG, the guy was world class for a long, long time.
pulled us, dragged us across the mud, really, for honest.
Exactly. And not, it wasn't that there was anyone else really doing it with him. He was just a standout. He was incredible for us. He was our go-to guy, our talisman. He delivered more often than not, won golden boots, trophies again with him, and he played a significant part in delivering those trophies. The guy was a phenomenon for us. Absolutely was. And I think if you look back on his time at Arsenal and you say, given how it's ended, would you have still signed him? My answer is
100%.
And ultimately, that's it. Like, I think that's the most clarity you can get. If you look back and say, would you have done it again, yes or no? And you say yes, well, that's the clarity that you need. Pepe, would I have signed Pepe? No. Looking
Probably
back,
not. Yeah, 100%.
Laka, would I have signed Laka? No. You know, there's so many players where unfortunately the answer is no. Kolasinac, Mari, Cedric, you know.
You're killing me with every name you list, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then with Aubameyang, you know, even though it's ended really, really badly,
do it again.
The fact that he was that good is why we're saying that, yeah, do it again. And it's a real shame for me. I kept on imploring in my own sort of way for Aubameyang to not leave like this, because I felt like he deserved to remember.
Small hope that you get 100 goals and be reintegrated. Yeah, I'm with you with that.
Leave with your head held high. I really, really hope that he could have done that. And, you know, when it looked unlikely that he was going to go to Barcelona on the deadline day, I thought to myself, well, maybe this is the opportunity where Laka gets an injury and Nketiah's suspended or
You've
injured.
got to send Aubameyang to Dubai and whatnot, and he has to, do his thing for us.
And you know, at some point in the season, he comes back and he does the business, and that would be great. That's what I'd want for him. But ultimately, look, it's happened the way it has. I feel a bit upset about the fact that he's left the way he has, because he didn't deserve that. But also, I'm not someone who's firmly in the Arteta or the Aubameyang camp, because Aubameyang has said in one of his leaving statements, "Oh, I did everything I could for the club," and it's like, well, you didn't. You know, you were great on the pitch, but you didn't do everything you could. You didn't turn up on time. You know, and that was within your control.
Can't disagree with that. Yeah, that's within your remit. That's the minimum requirement. If that's any other job, then boy.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't work to the same sort of standards or protocols that your teammates had to, because they turned up on time. Just because you're maybe outperforming them on the pitch and that sort of thing doesn't give you any special excuses. And I just find that a bit of a shame. So I think the reality is there's a middle ground here where Aubameyang, you could have and should have done more. And Mikel Arteta, well, I wish you had dealt with it differently as well. And you have shown us on many occasions you know how to damage relationships. How many times have you shown us you know how to repair relationships? And that's my question for Arteta going forward now.
That's a very damning statement, and that's one I'd like to have a bit of a twofold question. The first thing, obviously, a lot of fans are kind of consoling themselves with the facts of, you know, saving Aubameyang's wages and the ramifications that could mean. Where are you at with that? And also, my second part of that question would be, you know, to relate it back to a work example. Obviously, if you're in a company and there's someone that's always late, you know, kind of messes about, kind of annoying, but he produces results, you can't really say anything. Do you think it's a thing where Aubameyang could have always been acting like this and the form's on the floor after getting a new deal, pressure on Arteta, and it's just as simple as, you know what, it doesn't fly anymore because you're not doing the results. You can kind of do what you want when it's all working out for yourself. Where are you at with that?
I don't think it was linked to results personally. I feel like with Aubameyang, it was a case of this was a principle. I don't think Arteta cared whether you're playing well or not. I'd give Arteta that credit. So I don't think he was being fair weather with his discipline there. But what I would say is that I'm not sure whether Aubameyang started playing badly and then the discipline followed, or whether he started playing badly because he was unhappy at his treatment. You know,
that's a good point.
With hard and stuff. I actually would, if I had to guess, I'd say it was probably the latter, where he just wasn't, you know, because at that top level, you
feel his enthusiasm,
you drop off a couple of %, and that's it. That's enough to see a difference on the pitch. And I think Aubameyang's form might have dropped as a result of the stuff going on behind the scenes, rather than the stuff happening behind the scenes because of his form dropping. And we'll see with Barcelona now. Will he go there and light it up?
Because if he bangs in the goals and it's not happening at Arsenal, we're going to say it's an Arteta problem and vice versa. You're right in that regard.
Then I think he can point to the fact of environment around him and say that, look, in an environment where I'm happy, I thrive. In an environment where I'm kind of like, feel like I'm walking through flipping treacle. You know, everything feels harder and
I
stuff.
think
Then
for a larger than life character like him as well, I could see how it
exactly.
could the stickler for strictness would go against him. You're right in that regards. Where you at with the wages? Like, does it console you? Because on one hand, I feel okay, cool. You know, it's better he's not playing. I know we paid about 7 million, but that's better than his probably outlay. If he's not playing, for me, it's just another soap opera we don't speak about. I do feel fans are finding positives where there's none, because I hope we don't talk about it, but if we're not scoring goals, which we can't say, then we can't make a substitution and say saved wages, get warmed up and score a goal. It doesn't work like that, bro. So where are you at with this whole we've saved wages now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really funny one because people I understand, like let's try and be fair to these people. Instead of rubbishing the people that are talking about the money, there is cause and effect to this, and that's what they're happy about. You save the money now, you can reinvest that into the squad, your resources aren't being drained. 27 million is a decent chunk of money to be saved that can
Fair
be
outlay to
reinvested.
save, fair play.
So I get it on that point of view. So all of their celebration of this saved money is clearly, they don't have to say this out loud, but clearly it's because that money can now be used for the betterment of the squad and the team. Yeah. So they're not actually celebrating a stack of cash, but where we have now failed to invest that immediately, there's a lag between saving that money and it being for the betterment of the team. And it's that lag that I'm annoyed about. So I'm not willing to celebrate that. I'm not willing to celebrate that until I see it reinvested. And it should have been reinvested this transfer window. And that is my frustration. If, for example, you know, we were trying to sign Vlahovic, for example, right? And that we had no guarantee that Aubameyang would leave if we did sign Vlahovic. Now, let's say, for example, we said, look, we were going to sign Vlahovic for, let's say, 60. Out of the 20 million or 27 million that we've saved, let's go and spend a little bit more and go and get Alexander Isak, for example. Had we done that, I would have said, do you know what? Yeah, I'm glad Aubameyang's gone and we saved that money because clearly we've reinvested it. But not to say that would have been value for money on Isak. But what I'm talking about is seeing that reinvestment.
Just some logic behind what we're doing, a method to a madness. I'm with you with that.
So I find it hard to celebrate the money saved because we are not partners in this business where we get that money in our accounts.
I just want football. Like, fulfillment. Like,
exactly. That's what I want. That's where we get our reward. We don't see any of that cash. So I find it hard to celebrate it now because it hasn't been reinvested. But I just hope now that the next best thing is that in the summer we go big and we spend all of this money that we're saving in addition to what I hope will be a Champions League bonus as well. But I don't really get the people that are celebrating the money saved at this stage because you spend that money for squad depth, for strength in your players. And we are weaker at the end of the transfer window than we are at the start of the transfer window.
I was literally going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, are we weaker or stronger? And with the market have been a success for you? Because I feel my opinions on the window, I think I speak for most fans, it's disappointing. We didn't bring any players on. Most people would have looked at it as, you know, you get a striker or a centre mid of any denomination, it could give you a push to go and get things. And that's where I look at. I was speaking in the stream earlier. I think we would like to be in Europe. I think they'll concede top 6, and it's a danger in assuming we're going to get there. I think they're actually scared to go for top 4 and be ahead of their schedule and things like that. So we didn't bring a signing in. And for me, it's much like a game plan on a match day. It's like we can plan all week for something, all periods for something. But the minute we're in that window where the dynamics are shifting, whether that's Vlahovic, whether that's other targets saying no, I think we struggle to adapt. And how do you feel about it? Because I feel I can't just blame Edu because it seems like you got something agreed for Arthur Melo and it was vetoed. But for me, that's where you've got to earn your money. And for me, this is where the lack of experience in that individual in total is kind of costing us, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of that sort of blame piece, the fact of the matter is, on the pitch, outside of those transfer windows, it's the players and the manager that, you know, earn the money and they're the ones that you judge. In this period, it is simply, you know, the Edus, the Vinays, the Garlics, the Artetas as well to an extent, and they haven't produced. They simply haven't produced. We know they had money. We know they had the appetite. Arteta had confirmed that in quotes, and he had said repeatedly, you know, in press conferences, we are working, we are trying. And when he said that, I thought to myself, they will sign someone, because what he's doing then is basically setting them up to be criticised and setting them up for failure. When you're saying we are trying and then you don't succeed, read between the lines. You failed.
And also Ainsley going at the time, I thought most logical people said, surely someone's coming in because you're too.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't wait for him to go, and that's my problem, bro. It's like you said with Aubameyang. It's I like to be positively pessimistic. I don't like that question to be asked. I don't want, it's like when we got rid of Ozil and we're struggling for creativity. Naturally, people are going to say, well, why are you not playing Ozil? I didn't want us to give us that, and for me, it just feels like we're betting on a lot. I hope there's no injuries. I hope I'm scared for no reason, but at the end of the day, 18 players, 17 games played. We need a lot. We need form to be spot on. We need discipline to be spot on. We need consistency to be spot on. We've got some big games. It sounds great. When it sounds like a Disney movie, it sounds great. Galvanize the characters. But, you need a lot. And when you look at our young lads, we're losing in terms of experience. It's sad to say when you look at Spurs with their manager and their players, when you look at United, when you look at West Ham. So it's almost like, I think just top 6 is the target. And I feel there's a danger in that complacency because, once you get complacent, you find yourself in a ceiling and you can only go down. And we can't say we're going to finish 100% in the top 6. We ain't done that back-to-back 8.
Yeah, you have to aim higher, man, and then what you hope is that if you aim for 4th, for example, worst case scenario, you get 6th. But it seems like we're, as you say, we're not really saying we're going to go for that 4th spot. But I think that what the saving grace could be is that no other team that's competing for that 4th spot seems to be doing much different to us. Tottenham have made a couple of signings that, frankly, don't shift the
dynamic
caliber to go and get that 4th spot too drastically. United haven't done anything. West Ham haven't done anything. Chelsea haven't added, and they're slipping right now. I thought they would address their form, and likewise, Arsenal haven't in terms of additions. But the problem is, and this is where I take exception to the way Arsenal have done things, whilst the other teams have stayed stagnant, we've actually regressed. We've actually got rid of so many players that when I ask the question now, let's say crunch game against United, Man United in April, or the crunch game against Tottenham, those 2 games against our top 4 rivals, let's say Ben White is injured and Gabriel suspended. We have Rob Holding and who?
That's it. You're going to have to pull Tomiyasu across, and then Cedric comes in. And as you know, the dynamics, the fluidity, the little things we've put, you've killed it, really. And you don't have the goal scorers in that game as well. Yeah. You're right.
So that's what really, really upsets me, really annoys me, because, having to pull Tomiyasu out now is really, really annoying to me. Tomiyasu, as right back, goes forward, and he's the long ball target for Ramsdale when he can't go short. Is that now going to be Cedric?
This is
Tomiyasu is the perfect inverted fullback for our system. Cedric is not up to the level. We know that. And now we're having to, change the good parts of our team. And that's all in response to the lack of end product from Edu, Vinay, etc. And that really annoys me. So now, at the start of the transfer window, we were talking about we need a midfielder and a striker. And there was an argument about which one is more necessary.
Telemans and Arthur Melo and these strikers and that. And look where we are now, bro, speaking about it. We sat in the very same spot.
But now we've weakened the squad so much, DG, right, that when I look at where we urgently need reinforcements, before I was saying centre midfield. Now it's not even centre mid. Now it's centre back and striker. The centre mid, by adding no one, has now become less of a priority purely because of who we got rid of.
Crazy.
So we've created so many more problems for ourselves. And I hear the argument that people are saying, look, we've only got 1 game a week. And
it's like we do a circle. We were saying that at the start of the year, man. 1 game or 3 games. Games are coming thick and fast.
But the point is, you don't know, in a year where COVID is now a factor, suspensions, injuries, COVID, not just for us, but for other teams, their COVID, what it could do to games, how it could bunch up.
This is it.
Just 1 game a week doesn't mean you're not going to get injured. Players get injured in warm-ups. The fact of the matter is we simply don't have a deep enough squad. And this has been an intentional choice from the club. And I simply can't understand it. The only word I can really use for it to sum it up is a gamble. They have absolutely gambled with our season. And that's unforgivable to me.
And that's the thing, it's a gamble. Obviously, you can come out looking, it's a big risk. You could look 10 times stronger. I would still feel the same way, but you could look 10 times stronger or it goes wrong. That's why, for me, when I speak about Edu or Arteta specifically, anyone can see there's a lot of issues that they've inherited. But I do think it's like, a lot of them are self-inflicted. It's like specifically in midfield and like you said, in defense, everything that comes in and out of this club in terms of the players, Arteta is having a say-so. Again, I don't know the variables, but just Aubameyang, for example, example, if you knew there was a striker might not be coming in and you're asking a lot of Eddie, who's played 50 odd minutes and his last start came in April, and Lacazzette's 2 goals, you might force the issue. I don't think if it's Conte or someone else, I don't think they, regardless of it, they don't let him go because of what could happen. So you've made your bed and you've lied in it. Edu, again, I know it's difficult and whatnot, but end of the day, this is your bread and butter. And as we all know, the Kroenkes, you're the owner of this organization. So everything good or bad indirectly is down to you and the culture. So that's kind of what scares me. And this is why I feel there's an air of complacency. Clearly, the bar was on the floor at the start of the season. Probably top 6 was the aim. And with playing well, we started moving up. But this is why I think there is no issues where Edu can say there's no targets. And Arteta doesn't necessarily, you know, he can make these decisions like away from Aubameyang's problems. Just you can get rid of a striker because I don't think there's any pressure immediately on that job. I feel if you get top 6 and you keep doing what you're doing, not that that's wrong, but I think you'll get that role. I don't think this club will look back as a missed opportunity if they don't get top 4, which we are and accelerating. And it don't make sense because half the targets want to play in that, which I'm scared of. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive missed opportunity because I'll tell you one thing. The chance that we have now with 17 games left and the chance that we had to add and really push for that, I don't think we'll be as likely to get top 4 at the start of next season because Man United, they're seriously going to add to their squad.
New Gaffer's going to want to put down his mark. Facts.
Even Newcastle, they're going to come into the mix. They're going to go on a mad run on the spending spree. Tottenham, obviously, if they want to keep Conte, whose contract expires at the end of the season, they're going to show him
something. Yeah,
they're going to have to show him something as well. Even Aston Villa are showing a lot of ambition now, and I kind of feel like Arsenal. Look, this was the time where you could have almost got that top 4 and then cemented it based on the financial benefits you get through qualification for the Champions League. You then could have said, all right, now we're going to really consolidate our position.
Try to move away from these guys a bit, yeah.
And we just haven't done that. And I'm upset by it. I'm really, really upset by it, to be honest with you. I'd love for one of the top brass of the club to come out and explain what it is that they think that they are doing here.
That's the thing, and that's where that's my problem with Arsenal, is because I don't think there's enough footballing men or women on the board, so I don't feel there's really a push. I feel Arteta has a burning desire to succeed in things, a bit misplaced at times. I don't really know what Edu's about, and this is where I just feel people can kind of coast. I don't really feel, as long as you're not doing anything glaringly bad, whether that's Edu, Arteta, or etc., I don't think there's any pressure on your roles, and this is why I believe we keep seeing this mixed bag, and every 5 games, optimism builds. It feels like we can do something, then it's almost like we revert back to type. So obviously with the window being closed, and this is what it is, what's still your intentions of this season? Is it still a top 4 to top 6 push? Is it just freestyling now, because that's essentially what it is, and we're betting on a lot? Is it just blood in young players? What are you saying?
You know, I think it's funny because like a lot of Arsenal fans, and it sounds a bit dramatic, but we're not in a good place right now. We're feeling a bit down in the dumps right now, right?
Facts.
Because of
definitely
the last game as well, Burnley 0-0. And also the fact that we've done nothing in the transfer window. So it's hard to pull yourself out of that, feeling sorry for yourself or feeling annoyed, and just talk really objectively and honestly. And I fell foul of this myself after the Burnley game because I was saying that top 4's done and everything. And then the next day I reflected on that and I thought, no, look, we are still in with a chance of top 4. We've still got Tottenham and United to play. If we win those games and maintain
6
our
pointers, really.
Pardon?
6 pointers, essentially, them sort of games now.
Absolutely. So we are still in with a chance of top 4, but then compounded with how I was feeling after that, drop points on that day, the transfer window has made me kind of almost feel like, no, we can't get top 4. But the fact is, all of this that's happened off the pitch with this awful transfer window, we can still, in spite of that, go and do something. Now, I would have loved to have been sat here saying to you, because of what we did in the transfer window, we'll go and get top 4.
You and me both. I assumed that was going to be the case when we sat here weeks ago.
That's how it should be. But instead of that, I'm saying, in spite of everything that we didn't do, and even all the outgoings that we did do, in spite of all of that nonsense, hopefully we can still go and get it. So now I just hope that the players aren't feeling the same way as we are in terms of being a little bit deflated. Because
what's going on, sort of thing, yeah.
I honestly think if I was a player, and I'd be looking at this thinking, we're getting rid of all these guys, boy, it's a thin squad now. Like, who are we bringing in? Is there someone exciting? Can you imagine the feeling if we had gone and signed a top talent, a top striker?
Takes the pressure off the young players, man.
Yeah, and also it raises the level, it raises the competition. Right now, Tierney, does he feel pressured? Does Tomiyasu feel pressured? Do our centre backs feel pressured?
Does
Ramsdale
Ramsdale,
feel pressured?
considering he's just got it, like it's all happy for Ramsdale. In a matter of months, he's eclipsed Leno. It's him, really.
Yeah. Lacazette not playing very well. Does he feel pressured? Does anyone feel pressured? Martinelli, does he feel pressured by Pepe? You know,
No.
Saka, does he feel pressured? The only person with any pressure you could say is Odegaard, because Smith Rowe's good enough to come in.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure in our squad now. And in the title running, when you really, really have to perform, some players, I'm sorry to say this, DJ, right? But certain players, they're better in the first half than they are the second half.
When it's business time of the season, yep.
Yeah, when it's business time, some people do hide. I'm not suggesting for a second any one of the players in our team is going to
No, you're
be
right.
that high.
People do hide.
But this is where you find out. And we don't know about these players because they haven't been there before, you know, with something to play for. Even Saka's been in the team for a few years, but he's been like, competing to get into that 8th spot at the end of the season, where there's real pressure and the fans are really on edge. Certain players do go hiding. And this is where we needed to say, okay, look, we need a change. We need someone to come in.
We
with
need
a point
experienced players to stand up to be counted now more than ever.
And we don't have that. So now, not only have we got the youngest squad in the league, we've also got the smallest squad in the league.
And naive.
That's not a good combination for the business end of the season. So if we miss out on top 4, this transfer window will be remembered.
This is it, and that's where I'm at. This will be a missed chance. And again, this is where I come down to the club. I don't know how much you want it. And for me, I know we talk about a rebuild in the summer. Last summer, we talk about a rebuild. Now we praise our young players. But on the face of it, it's what our players do today and our experienced players today. And I think that's the cloud no one really wants to speak about. When we look at all of our experienced players, I count Tomiyasu and Ramsdale, but excluding them, you know, the Lakas, the Partes, the Xhakas, these sort of guys, they're very hot and cold. And this is almost the part of the season where you can't have that. And it's the business end. And you've got our young players who are turning it in, week out. But the last few games, Saka and Smith Rowe, rightly so, they've dropped off and you can't rely on them. And it's dangerous. And just off your point about experience, I was trying to think in my head because you got the juices flowing. Only Ramsdale, because I look at it, you've been at Bournemouth where it must have been kind of, you know, filled with tension every week because of the period you find yourselves in. Maybe Tomiyasu are probably forcing it, but apart from that, it's almost like the blind leading the blind. And I know Arteta is still a young manager, so he is somewhat naive, but the excuses are kind of running thin because you've been through this now. You've had 2 seasons now and you've had a full year. You kind of know what sort of time it is. I feel we played a dangerous game with injuries and we came out of it and now we're messing about. It's like looking at our squad. Who is the guys that you're going to see stand up to be counted? It's the young ones. And I can't really expect them all to do that really and truly. I don't think it's fair, me personally, expecting guys that, as you said, haven't been here before. It don't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I've made the point throughout the season on a few occasions that when things are going really, really well, Arsenal fans have got a tendency to shout about the fact that we've got such a young squad and look how well we're doing.
Facts.
And Man City don't do that because their squad is the right profile, the right age ranges that it should be. The reason Arsenal fans do that is because we know that we're all a little bit surprised that this young team is doing as well. So what I'm trying to get at here is that if we know deep down in the good times that we're surprised, when the bad times roll around, shouldn't we kind of cut them a bit of slack?
Because this is the problem, bro.
Because we know that actually you've over-delivered. You've surprised us with how well you're doing. So we can't then criticize you when you do have a bad day because that's what we expected from you guys, right? So I'm gonna try and keep my cool for the rest of the season when we do have a bad day, within limits, of course. You know,
definitely.
Bad days, yeah, awful, embarrassing days, no, and not too many of them. But it is a young team. I do expect them to slip up, and all of the other dynamics that we've just spoken about, they haven't been given that boost in terms of a big, experienced player coming in to, you know, steady things a little bit.
Like, look at Lokonga, man. Like, he's crying for some more experience. As poor as he's been at times, it's the blind leading the blind. He's an experienced man. You know, you're asking him to carry a younger one in Patino away from home at Nottingham Forest. It's not going to end well, is it? Like,
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, so I think we have to be fair to our players and kind of say, look, they will have bad days. And now, because there's no competition in the squad, because there's no squad depth, then it's that real business end of the season where it's a bit of a boiler room, a pressure cooker atmosphere, and, you know, their thoughts and everything will be dominated by it. They won't be able to play their natural games. This stuff just happens. If you understand the psychological element of football, this stuff happens. And yeah, I unfortunately really worry about our top 4 chances. And I'm upset. I'm annoyed by what this what has happened in this transfer window to just rip out our chances from underneath us. And if we go and do it, I think it will be one hell of a story. And these young
Miracle.
players deserve so much credit for being able to pull it out the bag.
That's the thing. Even if we do that, I know Arteta would, but I don't know if Kroenkes are going to sit there and say, okay, we've missed out on the Champions League many years. We're kind of quote unquote lucky to be here. Let's go and cement this. I think it will be an air of complacency. I do think standards all over on the floor. What have you made of the rumors today then about 180 million to spend in the summer? Obviously, you know, we're very wary of this war chest story, but when I look at it, that's like 30 million more than last summer. I think the profile is the most important thing rather than just spending. But what do you make of that allegedly and the names being thrown?
Look, you know, the thing is, the 180 million in summer, people were talking about getting rid of AUBAMEYANG, getting rid of Lacazette and this and that and all these players and what that would give us to spend this transfer window. You can never second guess the Kroenkes. I'm sorry, they don't have the required ambition. You can't say with certainty, look, this is what's going to happen. It's just, the other thing I was talking about as well, that because it doesn't seem to make any sense to me as to why we would have done this. I get that bringing players in is difficult, so I understand that part. But to decimate our squad in the way that we have, if I walk past the Arsenal exec tomorrow and I said, oh, look, why did we do that? And he said to me, Mo, look, don't mention this to anyone, but we're in a spot of financial trouble. That's why we did it. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, you can console yourself with the fact because there's been some communication.
No, as in like, I would understand it. It would make sense. Like in context of what we've done, just getting rid of everyone, Maitland-Niles at the first opportunity, even though we need a right back, we need a centre midfielder, Kolasinac, this, that, the other, AUBAMEYANG, whatever, getting rid of so many people. I'd say like, right, okay, that's why he did it, because we're in a spot of financial trouble. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. That would make sense to me if we were. And I have been thinking, is that the case? But obviously we don't get to see the financial statements now, so I don't know if that is the case. But I wonder if spending 150 million in the summer, being Premier League's top spenders, maybe we just went a bit too far with that, and we're now this is the corrective measure for what we did then, for example.
I think I was speaking about that on one of my streams. On one hand, I like you said, we don't see the finances. I think there was money because why are you going for Vlahovic? You tried to commit, but at the other scale of things, as I said, when it looks like Arteta's having to go to America to beg, it looks like Arthur has been sanctioned by the technical director and the manager and then vetoed. It lets me know maybe there wasn't finances. Maybe when we move away from the euphoria, even when I look at some of Mikel Arteta's comments and I look back in hindsight, he's kind of giving off that it's going to be, we know it's going to be a tricky market, but it feels like a mixed bag now without any, I don't cut any excuses because again, this is where you need to earn your chops. If you've only got £10 to spend and not 20, make sure you get value for money and you have different profiles. It's not, we've known we've needed a striker. It's just been exaggerated because of what's happened with AUBAMEYANG. We know we need a midfielder. The only time we look like we need a midfielder is when we go into a crisis or when Xhaka wants to go to Roma. So I don't know, away from my feelings or yours as a fan, who is actually seen as the players for the future? How quickly are we trying to go? Because it genuinely feels that some of the potentially what we could do, it looks like some players and some executives want to do that, and it looks like some are succumbing and crumbling really. And it's almost like ambition is scary, to which, as you know, historically shouldn't be at our football club if you're not daring to push innovation and these sort of things. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think all we can do now as fans is hope that yes, in summer we go big. But in the meantime, the players who are here, let's just get behind them. It's not their fault.
Simple as that, yeah.
When Cedric comes on because Tomiyasu's been pushed into centre-back because of our awful squad management, just support the guy. It's not his fault. He should never have been at the club. We all know that. He should not be our second choice right back. But look, that's where we are, and we have to do whatever we can to try and help the team get that fourth spot. So yeah, I mean, I feel deflated about it, but I'm just going to back the boys. What else? What flipping else can we do?
There's nothing you can do. I mean, we can scream and shout, as you said, unless you're going to get Diego Costa as a free transfer, which we don't want. You can't get any signings. It is what it is. All we can do is judge Arteta and co appropriately, because you're telling it, for me anyways, looking at Arteta, whether you wanted new signings or not, you not playing you making these decisions tells me that, as you said, if Cedric needs to play one game or 17, 18 left, he can do it. Like, he's got the ability to do it. You've got your faith, so I can only judge you accordingly, and to a degree, I do. So it is where it is in that regards. Personally, I'm just hoping for galvanization, a bit of the form we saw. I hope this Dubai trip can, you know, camaraderie and pull the team closer. Because one thing I did like, again, I'll never know because I don't work at Arsenal, but when it's been that Mesut Ozil stuff, it's looked like it's played on some players. Couple people don't care. Couple people for it. It just looks like this Aubameyang thing. Yeah, they can have their opinions, but that's for outside. We've got a job to do. So I kind of like that. So I'm relying a lot on Dubai. My last couple of questions for you, because I know we're pressed for time. We've got just about 9 minutes. Lacazette and Eddie leading the line. Like, where you at with Eddie? Where you at with Lacazette? 2 players leaving, and what you make for Pepe and potentially Martinelli up front?
Man, Lacazette Nketiah as our striking options is simply not good enough.
Crazy, man.
Lacazette, when I mean, you can't rely on him to make the difference, to score the goals, unfortunately. But what he does do is bring other people into play. So it's almost like, by virtue of having Lacazette up top, I'm looking at Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and saying, look, he will at least give you the space to thrive. Can you do that? But this nonsense false 9 that we've been trying to play in the last few games, Liverpool, Carabao Cup, Burnley.
Lacazette ain't got the legs for it, man. He ain't, sadly, he ain't got it. For 90 minutes, can't do it, man. It's relentless.
Just how easily they were able to deal with that. To play that false 9 system, you need like unbelievably good technical players and intelligent players who know when to do things. And also, you need to be quite dominant, I feel, in the game to make any one of your forward-thinking midfielders be able to be that false 9 at any given moment in time. It's hard when you're not as dominant, because, you know, that defensive part is kind of always there, where Odegaard's thinking about the press and winning the ball back a lot of the time, rather than thinking, it's cool, I've got 2 brilliant players or a great defensive unit behind me, and I can buy me some time. Exactly. So I don't think that we are the team to be playing that false 9, and it hasn't worked since we've tried to do it. So our striking options simply aren't good enough. Pepe down the middle is going to have to be an option. He's done it at Lille, but ultimately, you know, I think he overplays. He still overplays in this league. He needs to have a little bit more directness in his game. I do like his unpredictability, but he needs to be slightly more direct in his game to thrive in the Premier League, in my opinion. And Martinelli could end up being our best option in terms of through the middle. And that's a shame, because I think he's doing really well on the left-hand side.
I mean, I'm with you on that. I feel first things first, you know, obviously, you know, it's a bit like the Aubameyang debate. If both people are on form, Aubameyang's the better striker. When I look at Lacazette, he doesn't shoot enough. He doesn't score enough. He's got a lot of strengths. He's regressed in terms of pace. When he is in the box, he doesn't score. That being said, you know, in Lacazette's favor, when Aubameyang and him weren't in form, the one thing you give, if neither player is scoring, then it's what another man can do. And I think Lacazette gives you the hold-up play, etc. I'm prepared to overcompensate on that to the end of the season, because I think that's a better option than Eddie, who is, in my opinion, slightly improving in terms of playing out wide and whatnot, not good enough. I'm with that. If there's any sort of other things we have to play, then for me, it's Operation Martinelli, because that is someone I see potentially being the Alexis Sanchez we used to have as a false 9, as well as being able to play in the left or the right. I don't really advocate for Eddie. I hope he can make a name for himself. I hope he can go on a Joe Willock-esque sort of run and things, but we're betting on a lot. And again, I know he's training and fit, but he's had 1 start since April. You know, he's got 50-odd minutes in the league. I don't know if Arteta, despite what he says in his heart, believes that's a player, really, that I can believe in, really. Now, I hope Eddie relishes it like Lacazette. You've got a platform maybe to get a new deal or, you know, get interest from other clubs, but we're almost at the mercy of someone who's extremely average, if I'm completely honest, to Eddie Nketiah. And it baffles me, man. I don't know what to say apart from that. It just baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just talking about Lacazette. I've just looked up how many shots he's had in the league this season. Yeah. Now I'll just give you some context.
Gabriel's had more in it.
Scott McTominay has had 16. Yeah. Let's have a look at someone like Leandro Trossard has had 53. Yeah. Pick another player in the league.
Let me think. Jadon Sancho.
Jadon Sancho. Oh, where are you? He's had 8. Yeah.
That's where I think Lacaz's around. I think Lacaz's best guessed about 15. No more than 15.
17.
I'm not far. You see, I knew it.
Far, yeah. And I just kind of feel like Scott McTominay or Lacazette, who should have had more shots? They're level pegging. Sancho, who's barely been in the team and has had an awful season, 8. Trossard, look at that for an attacking threat. You know,
This
what
is
did I
it.
say? 53. Lacazette, 17. Like, to me, it's very simple what the flaws are in Lacazette's game, yet we do nothing to correct it.
Or
Saka,
overcompensate with
46.
it.
Aubameyang, 35. The second greatest player of our generation, who is Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously. When you look at the league table, he hasn't exactly been great this season, but he's had 63 shots. He's made a career of law of averages. Do you know what I mean? In terms of
This is it.
any league he's ever been in, he'll have the most shots on target, off target, and goals follow because he's getting the shots off on target. Salah has had 80, Harry Kane 61, Mane 61, Rafinha 59, Jota 59,
See?
Antonio 57, Bowen 56, Ivan Toney 50, Trossard was 53. Now, all of those players you'd look at and say, yeah, they're not having bad seasons.
This
And
is
it's
it.
a very, very obvious formula. Just get the shots off. When you get a sniff, take the shot.
More shots, more goals. You buy more raffle tickets, you could win the lottery more. Like,
Exactly. And I think it's a really, really simple fix to our striking solution and what Lacazette is or isn't doing. But he spends too much time in the right wing, the left wing, central midfield. He's not a striker anymore.
but this is my problem with Arsenal. It's like, I just feel, fans do this as well. I just feel, as much as I criticize Lacazette or Eddie, they've always been this. More so Lacazette. We've made a lot of excuses. I remember when people said he's had less shots than Aubameyang. He scored more. He scored this amount of goals to shots, so he's more clinical. I think Lacazette's always been this. You know, throughout the season, Lacazette has been missing tap-ins and things like that. That's where we need to overcompensate. And again, I can't really sit here and scream, you know, there's a next Mo Salah out there. But at one point, when it became evidently clear, maybe a striker can't come in, should we obviously shift that over to finding an inside forward and making up the difference to where, you know, Firmino scores more than Laka, but I'm sure Liverpool fans aren't exactly as high on Firmino's case to score goals because they can see we're overcompensating in other areas, sort of thing, which is crazy.
Well, hopefully Martinelli will be that guy. Hopefully he explodes, you know, and drags us over the line.
That's it. My last question to you then would be, at this moment in time, you know, with everything you said in, you know, with January just gone, where do we finish?
6th.
I'm going with that as well, man. I hope for 5th. I think push for me, just push top 4 all the way you can until May. You need to finish 5th, 6th, and you've thrown down the gauntlet to me and said that's the goal. See it through to the end. You've got the squad to be able to do that. I don't think we can confidently say at this moment in time we're gonna unfortunately finish ahead of Spurs, United, West Ham. All the teams are in the mixing, but I'm with you. 5th, 6th, man. 5th, 6th, without a doubt, man.
Hopefully we do 4th, but at this stage I would not put any money on it.
This is it. Like, I can't lie. I feel like you said it earlier. I think deflated, really. I feel fans, maybe, you know, our optimism was on the floor, but, you know, it steadily rose, but through the season. And I just feel, for me, it's been killed. I hope the existing players can do it. I hope that we sit here and we say Arteta showed big bollocks in January to do what he did, and we're praising him. But I don't know what narrative's going to be spent, man. Before I let you go, is there any content to come out? I know we're not playing in a long time to put it in there.
Yeah, no, my content, I'm taking a break. It will be when we have our next fixture, Wolves away, I think on the 10th of Feb. And what I would say before I go is that all that we need to do now is hope that in the next couple of games, we don't, you know, have bad results. Because if that happens, it's going to get very toxic very quickly. We need to make sure that the bounce back is on the pitch now, and we return to some positive sort of thoughts.
And that's what scares me, is because, again, just before I let you go, I just feel it's easy to say we should win that game. We should have won that game. I feel no matter how much other teams drop points, you need to go and get the job done. And we know any team that's a decent defensive unit, we can't break them down. And teams know if it's not Saka, if it's not Martinelli, they pick us out. I just think we're at that stage again where we don't know what Arsenal team is going to be there. So I can't really, you know, you said it earlier. For me, the fact that we still have to play Palace away, still have to play Southampton, still got to play Wolves and all the other top teams, I just feel we've left ourselves short. But again, you know, I hope that we could do our own, you know, sort of, there's a million reasons to not give us a hope, but there's one reason too. And like you said, we've just got to hope, pray, support the team. And I'm sure we'll be sat here on my channel and your channel in May, and whatever happens, bro. And it is what it is until then, man.
For the rest of the season, it's this.
Facts, man. Let me let you go because I know you're pressed for time. People, obviously, it's been fantastic having Mo. Obviously, when this is on YouTube, you'll see his name pinned to the YouTube stuff. So go and subscribe. Subscribe anyways, but, you know, just click his name and subscribe. Obviously, when the Wolves game's back on, he'll be doing his content. But until then, love for coming through, bro. Let me let you go. I know you're pressed for time. Peace,
Cheers.
man.
Take care.
Love, my guy. Safe. And obviously, people, with that being said, what's the time now? It's 15 minutes until 3. Obviously, don't close this, go back. I say go back. Hold this open, people. At 10 past 3, I'm going to have Graham minutes. That is what it is, people. Obviously, Mo's got things. I don't want to leave people hanging. A man said Kenneth and Kagawa. Big up yourself, Bushy, as well. You're always here. Aubameyang says he didn't want to cause any trouble at Arsenal, that his only problems were with Mikel. I mean, it's clear. The man he signed the new, before I go as well, he signed the new deal, so he's comfortable with life here. I beg you all, just type in Aubameyang signs new deal and go and read the comments that Edu, Arteta, and he said at the time of signing new deal. So he's comfortable here. He clearly got the finances is something cool. Arteta was rating him. He was the captain. He wanted to be Arsenal legend. Things changed. So yeah, he's cool with his teammates. I'm sure he's a larger than life personality. It's with Arteta, and that's the man you need to get onto. I'm sure there'll be a time where we'll fight. We'll figure out the truth. I'm sure Aubameyang would have loved to have conducted himself differently. Arteta potentially the same. And all us fans probably didn't want to see that, but it is well, it is really and truly. I don't feel there's any rights and wrongs. Obviously, you saved money with Aubameyang. You've got rid of, I don't like to say a disruptive character, but a disruptive character for want of other phrase. And Aubameyang, I mean, Arteta can, it's one less player that's not yours, realistically. It's crazy, man. Man said, 20-minute break to get lunch. Big up DG, man of the people. I defo am, man. It is what it is, man. We need to, it is what it is. For me, you just know with every good game, we didn't need Aubameyang. With every game that we struggle, even though Aubameyang's form's on the floor, this and that. For me, it's the very fact that that question is going to be asked. I know it's difficult to buy a striker, but don't give yourself the question. Even Ozil's harshest critics were saying, yo, why isn't Ozil involved? Because there was a lack of creativity. You see how we're playing creative and things are going. It's cool. Obviously, when we were scoring goals, nobody cared. But I told you, look, this Lacazette thing up front, it's not going to be the thing forever. Have you noticed this season we've gone with Aubameyang through the middle, the Spurs times? There was a time, Lacazette couldn't buy a game, and every time he's coming on, he's affecting it. And then probably the Palace game where he came on, it now became 2 up front. Now then Aubameyang got, it was working for a second. Then he got dropped. I wouldn't say we stumble across things, but it's like we kind of circumstances give us the opportunity to run certain things. And I feel Lacazette, a bit like Smith Rowe or Odegaard to a degree, is like you wish you could have 12 players. Arteta them times wanted to keep playing Aubameyang, so he blooded them both in, and it is what it is, man. All that matters now. He's got end of the day, I can't look at Pepe and expect him to get bare goals and things. On fan point of view, you ain't been given a chance. You're normally one of our best players in the second half of the season. Go on and do your thing. Martinelli the same, but Martinelli's still learning. Pepe, I know you're training at Dubai and you've had a good AFCON, but I don't know his physical condition. It's like Eddie Nketiah. It's very different. I know we're playing once a week, but he's one start in the league since April, right? 50 odd minutes. It's very different when he's not gonna be leading the line and that, but if you get opportunity, man, have to take it. So I'm asking a lot, man. I can only assume there's a bigger plan at play. Come the summer, you guys will be able to tell what going on. And I think so, but that always is the thing with my club, though. It always feels like there's some mad conspiracy thing going on. And if you're not there involved, you don't know. In which on one hand, listen, I give the club credit. I don't know everything and I praise and critique fairly, but it's the very fact that we're having this conversation, I'm not advocating Morata on loan and all of these sort of things, but, maybe if it became clear you couldn't get these targets, then maybe you need to explore the low market. I know fans can't be pleased, but I just think we're playing a dangerous game, and I hope the Dubai trip galvanizes everyone. I hope there's no loss of form, no injuries, no suspensions, because I really hope it's a Disneyland thing. I hope we sit back in the summer and we say that the Dubai trip in February, whatever, was a defining trip of the season, because I feel this is a deciding period, just because, as you lot know, January, it's the business end. No team can afford to F about whatever they're doing. And obviously the transfer market, where whatever you've got to say on Arsenal's thing, it is what it is. I don't think you can praise or critique. It's just a mixed bag, really. So I hope it does, man. I hope it does. But it's like Mo said, it's the business end. We've got a young squad. Like even your team, United, at least you lot can turn around and say, man, I've been in these high pressure performances before. And, that season you, man, finished second. You were kind of rubbish for a hot period, but you came together. Liverpool, there was a chance. Was it last year? There was a second. They didn't even look like them, and they were touching Premier League Champions League football because of the injuries. They pulled together. When I look at my team, It's not that anyone hasn't been in high pressure environments. The only one that really stands out is Ramsdale. Carr. He's been at Bournemouth. Obviously, man are fighting relegation. It's getting a bit brazy. You know, every game, you know, there must be high pressure stakes in training. You know, and it's a lot to bet on the young. Obviously, Odegaard's been at Madrid, and I'm not saying other people can't handle it. Tierney's been at Celtic, but again, that's 3-4 man. I'm saying that's not the 25-man squad or 18-man squad at this moment. I wish we got Darwin Núñez, my guy. It seemed West Ham were onto him. They'd probably go back for him, really. And that's the thing. Arsenal could have cheated the game a bit. We're talking about West Ham, Newcastle. Obviously, I don't think Newcastle are going to challenge for the Champions League next season, or I'll hold my hands up. I hope not. But it's like them man, they are the guys that are trying to take Arsenal's place. We could have got champs. Obviously, half these players want to play champs. Even if they didn't want to play for Arsenal, they might say, you know what, there's a platform. We could have at least delayed the inevitable, better yet. So, and that's the thing, you know. Obviously, as much as Arsenal can sit here and say, yo, the target is top 6, well, I assume top 4 next season. We don't know what's going to happen. Your team B, for example, Man United's a club that should always be challenging for the league title. So by that, you know, you man could be a new manager, new signings. You know, Chelsea are going to invest. City looks, they're trying to get Haaland. They're going to bring someone in. Liverpool have got in Diaz, and I don't know what caliber of player they'll bring in the summer, but man are going to get stronger. West Ham have defo shown, man, they're trying to get stronger in this thing as well. You know, obviously we're going to bring people in. Well, I said we're going to bring people in January, innit? By God's grace, we bring people in the summer. But again, you can't convincingly say that, all right, even in best case scenario would be top 4. We land on 5th, 6th, and next season we say, all right, we're going to do this thing. We can't say that. We've got young, hungry hyenas and they're doing their thing, you know, young lions, better yet. But we ain't got them talisman there. Liverpool, they got the Salah. City got a bag of them. You know, United, fair enough, you're not doing your thing, but you get it. You know, the young G's are the talisman, but we ain't got no talisman players. We ain't got street smart players because they're trying to learn to be street smart and these things. We're going to bring players in. Do you know, I don't mind if man are signed from the MLS. You know, I don't mind. I don't know nothing about that Turner guy. The other one, I think that's one of them brown envelope ones. We're going to loan him out around Europe. He might get a chance, but I think he's just going to get loaned around Europe and probably make a profit. They don't necessarily get better, but we can't assume they're going to get worse, really and truly. Villa are turning the corner. And again, I didn't say them two names in particular. Obviously, when I think of top 4 respectively, we're trying to fight, but West Ham, Chelsea, man said West Ham, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're going to get stronger. So there's one place potentially. So I'm looking at how can you get the edge, really? You know, Leicester, it looks like the cycle's kind of not over, but Brendan Rodgers, it's been 3-4 years. Vardy's getting on a bit, even though he's back in. Telemans looks like he's getting cold feet. Obviously, a couple other men have skated. Samori ain't really settled. You know, but teams are going to try to get better. We can't guarantee that we're going to be this time next year, we're going to be where we are right now, regardless of what the season happens. So, yeah, man, teams don't necessarily get better, but 9 times out of 10, you sign players, you do get better, you know, and I don't want to bet on teams regressing. You know, there's no guarantee that because our young players got experience this season that they're not going to struggle. You know, because next season, I want to have a more positive August. I know it wasn't kind to us, but you get the point, man. But yeah, on that note, people, hold it up because in 16 minutes, I'm going to be live again. Well, technically, I'm going to set the other live to go off 10 minutes before. But yeah, I'm going to be live with Big Graham. Have I sent Graham the link? Sent you the link on Twitter, mate. So yeah, that's Graham at 3:10. Again, any Arsenal questions? Obviously, we're going to go over the same things I went with Mo. Any Arsenal questions, don't feel any sort of way. Get them in or hold them up for a second, people, because again, we've got content. 2 more live streams to come today. Obviously, as I said, in 10 minutes, I'm going to have Graham. And then after that, make sure you set your reminder, 6:30, AFCON business. Again, appreciative to everyone who's been here supporting the thing. So yeah, man, I'll catch you lot in a piece, man. Literally, don't go anywhere. Make sure you leave Twitch open. Again, shout out to everyone, you know, that was locked in. Appreciative. Go follow Mo and that. Andrew, Tarns, Prince Teddy, H, C Stone, N. I appreciate the cheering. I appreciate you lot because you lot were here from early speaking and things like that. Greatness. I love the comment. This is going to be a self-inflicted implosion for Arsenal. Top 4 is there for the taking too. Trust, it's there for a fight, man. So yeah, man, you lot And anyone who I didn't say in it, again, you lot make the stream what it is. It'd be very boring if you didn't interact, take part in the voting, etc., etc. Please make sure you're following on YouTube and Twitter. And yeah, man, I'll catch you lot in literally 14 minutes, man. So you lot go and, you know, go and stretch your legs, go and get refreshed, and then we come back again. Grind never stops, man. Thank you for being part of the stream, my guy. If you lot don't come and make talking points and listen, and you lot enrich it. And I think Twitch, YouTube as well, I'm not gonna lie, but Twitch enhances it, man. I really like the, what's the word, man? Like the togetherness and them things there. And I know as we're getting bigger on Twitch, the weirdos are starting to come about, but Twitch seems to be a lot nicer than YouTube, if I'm completely honest, man. But yeah, man, let me go and pattern the next stream. I can't lie. Let me use the little boys' room, you know, and then I'm back again, man.
There's always just that
active and defending.
I've been given, like.